You don't have an SEO problem. You have a conversion rate problem. So this is something interesting that I've been running into with small businesses, and something I ran into yesterday talking to an individual. And it's interesting because I think it stems from every small business being so much different. You know, we like to package everything up like they're the same. And a lot of, SEO companies and marketing companies, right? They have to have a perspective on their clients so they can get things done. But I find it's difficult, nearly impossible for most companies to address each individual problem from each individual customer. And because there's such an array of places where the problem can stem from, it makes it difficult. It makes it difficult for companies to be able to do that. So I have this post here that I've been working on, and it kind of stems from this tweet here that I had today. People aren't finding you. People aren't calling you. People aren't buying from you, or people aren't paying enough. If your business is struggling, you need to diagnose the problem. Stop trying to hire someone to solve the problem if you don't know what problem you're trying to solve. So it really stems from this core idea here that there's only 4 problems and only 2 of them are marketing. Either people aren't finding you or they're not taking action. But that second problem of people not taking action is a huge problem, and it does not get talked about or addressed enough when it comes to marketing. And so this really stems down to your conversion rate and the customer journey, right? So conversion rates, we don't really hear about conversion rate companies, right? You have SEO companies and ad companies and Facebook and social media companies and direct mail companies. There's not like conversion rate companies, right? There's not companies out there saying, hey, we do conversion rates. I'm sure there are, but it's not like some big thing in the local business community either, right? There's no one really talking about conversion rates, but that can be a huge difference. If you're getting, 100 visitors every day to your website and you can get 1% more people to call you, that's a potential customer. That's a potential job every day. 2, 3, 4%. That's the difference between the most successful business in your local area and the worst business, right? It can be that percentage. So I think it's important to focus on conversion rate, but also just generally looking at what conversion rate is. And business owners, as a business owner, especially a small business owner, the unfortunate reality is no one is going to care about your business as much as you do. And so if you're not involved with trying to understand what's going on in your marketing and helping that process, you're not likely to have a positive outcome. If you don't check your website and see what's happening, if you're not involved in if you don't look at your Google business profile, your socials, and try to put yourself in your customer's mindset and really try to understand the customer journey, it's really hard for a marketer to do that better than you, the business owner. That's what the business owner can do better than anyone, is understand that customer. But if you're not understanding the customer and helping that get to marketing and connecting that dot, then you're missing out on a ton, or it could cause you to fail. And that was kind of a scenario I ran into recently. So what does this mean? What do you do? So the customer journey, I think, is interesting because it sounds so hard to understand. For me, these kind of conceptual, based ideas are hard for me to grasp. I guess I always want to overcomplicate the problem and make them more difficult than they are, but it really doesn't need to be hard. I think it actually should be dumb. Okay? Customer, what do they want? How long does it take them to make a decision? And what are the pieces along the way that you can use to help convince them to take action? So number one is what do they want? If your pictures and text on your website doesn't clearly, and what I mean by clearly is in the dumbest way possible, make it obvious that you can solve that customer's problem, you're not going to get those customers. So, and this gets nuanced, right? In the fact that if I'm a gutter company and I want, and a customer is looking for copper gutters, if I don't have a page on copper gutters that's easy to find and some pictures of copper gutters, then customers are not going to just assume that I do it. Some might call, some might not. But either way, I'm losing out on the psychological benefit of showing customers in a very simple fashion that I offer that for them. So it needs to be dumb. Images, text needs to be dumb. Needs to say what you need to say. Okay? That goes for your website, your Google business profile, all of those, right? If you can't get a customer to the point where in their mind they go, "Oh, yes, this person can solve my problem." And it's all down low subconscious stuff, right? No one's going, "Oh, yeah, awesome. I'm so glad they had a picture of copper gutters." But what they do is they see that, and in their mind it goes, "They can solve my problem." And it's all this fast thinking, just boom, 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 right? So if you have a longer customer journey, right, then those things are going to work as well. But you're going to have somebody who's going to be looking for those and taking more time to find those. So you can point them differently as well, right? If my customer journey is quick, like with the gutters example, maybe copper gutters isn't the best, but just generally gutters. I don't think gutters are something people think about for a long time. They have some kind of repair. They need it done. They look at a company, they do gutters, they call. So in that situation, you have a quicker customer journey, right? So you just want to get people to call. On my website, then I want to make sure it's easy for people to call, people to sign up. My header of my website, which is my most important thing, is probably going to have a sign up form or phone, right? And that's where I'm pushing people. But if I have a slower customer journey, right, like a home remodeler, that's where people are going to take some time, right? So maybe I don't want to push them right to a contact form. Maybe I want to push them to a secondary page with a gallery and show different types of things. Maybe I even break it down by the different rooms that we remodel. So somebody who's looking for a kitchen can look at those, and somebody's looking for a bathroom, right? So I want to make it easy for customers to find and consume the past jobs and the content around what they're looking for. And then maybe even like some remarketing, right? Having a pixel so that Facebook can then send them the same pictures, right? Or send them remodeling pictures on Facebook and retarget them, right? Through those channels, right? So I think you have to be very, interested and you have to really understand what the customer journey is like for your business. And if you have one of these slower customer journeys too, you want to make sure that's reflected in your Google business profile photos. Once again, a gutter company, you can probably just put jobs of gutters. There's not a lot of people looking for a luxury gutter company. They just assume gutter companies are gutter companies. But with remodeling, once again, the pictures you choose, maybe you don't want to put every picture on your Google business profile. Maybe you want to limit those to your best pictures and really kind of cater that to your audience. So depending on your customer journey, you want to make sure you're targeting, you're thinking about that. And I think even at a more base level, you need to be going through your website occasionally. You need to be going through your Google business profile occasionally, trying to put yourself in the customer's mind, going through it. What are they clicking? Where are they going to go? What are they going to see, right? And look for these kind of roadblocks where it makes it difficult, right? It's not easy to make things easy. It takes work to make things easy for the customer. So I think that's where conversion rate comes in, right? If you're not converting people to calling and you're on one of these longer or short, whatever the customer journey, if people aren't calling you, then they're getting caught up somewhere and you need to really figure that out. It's not a lot of people are out there trying to solve this problem of conversion rates, but it really just boils down to helping customers really feel secure and confident that you can solve their problem and that you're the best person for it. And I think your conversion rates will improve as long as you're working to simplify that process and make it easier for customers. So whatever, that's my ramble. It's unfortunate. I think a business owner, you need to understand no one cares about your business like you do. And I think you need to get involved in your marketing at the customer level, and then use your marketing and SEO and all those companies to help you improve on things. But make sure you understand what it is they're improving on. They have goals and that you understand generally what they're doing. I think that's really what all of this boils down to. The boiled down of the boiled down is you have to understand your business and what's happening with your marketing and everything else. And you need to track that and make sure you're in control of it and that you are looking for ways to improve your metrics and your numbers. Know your numbers, improve your numbers, get involved in your business if you want to succeed. Think like your customer, all that. All right, that's what I got for today. We'll see you tomorrow.